Hello everyone, I guess hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we're here with a video on whether or not gold is the safe haven that has been, talked about for the last year and a half. I wanted to compare it today with base and refractors within the same set. I'll be looking at 2017 and 2019 Topps Chrome Golds because that's going to be basically the easiest gold to look at for the most part because, those sets are relatively, known by the masses, and also it's numbered out of 50. Some golds are out of 10, out of 25, whatever it may be, so it's harder to really get comps at different points in time. The out of 50 from Topps Chrome works really, really well, so that's what I'm going to be using today. I have for you today a Ronaldo, an Mbappe, and a Haaland. Sadly, I could not get the 2017 Topps Chrome Messi to really work out since, there aren't tons of sales for this type of stuff, and usually if there are in different grades, so you kind of got to, pick and choose, and sadly, I couldn't get a Messi, but we do have 3 out of the 4, I guess, modern GOATs, so to speak, so we'll give it a shot. So I'll explain to you what I did for these comparisons. So up on screen right now, I have an Mbappe Gold. And what I did was I took the all-time high point for an Mbappe Gold or, whatever gold card, for instance, and then I compare to where we are now, okay? And I'll do the same thing for base. I'll do the same thing for refractor. And I'll also go ahead and then figure out how much you're losing year over year. Because one of the things is with the gold and, sort of what it's done is the gold boom came after the regular card boom. I would say, at least for soccer in particular, the gold was sort of, I guess, this thing that once base and refractor started going down, people then moved to gold as this way to get away from everyone funneling out of the hobby, so to speak. And so they went and bought gold thinking that, this is, the best of the best. People love gold, so this will still be safe. And so that's what we're going to take a peek at here. Warning, it's not going to be as great as you might think. That's the fun of it. So let's go ahead and get on into it. First off, we have this 2017 Topps Chrome Gold Mbappe. The all-time high for this card was 34.4 thousand in June of 2021. So we have that right there going on Golden. This was number 26 out of 50, so nothing crazy in particular there. Now, as far as, where we've fallen to, we'll look at that now. So instead of sorting by price, I'll go by date sold. So looking at these two here, we have a couple different price points. So basically, between 24 and 26,000, as you can tell, there's been a decent discount. So right now, these are about 25,000 on average for a PSA 10, while the 9 used to be 34,000. So accordingly, typically the multiplier that I tend to use, and most people seem to agree on, is that between a PSA 9 and a 10, you're going to look to up the price 2.5 to 3 times. Which means you're going to divide by that if you're coming down. Being nice, I'll say that, it's probably a $10,000 card in a PSA 9 right now. You could say maybe it's more, maybe it's less. I could see anywhere from probably, I guess, 7 to 15, I would imagine. 15 probably being on the high end. So we're just going to say 10, make it easy, right? So a PSA 9 in the span of a little less than 2 years went from being worth 35,000 almost to now being worth 10,000. All in all, the price drop for this Mbappe was 71% in total, and if we take it percentage-wise based on a year time frame, it is 39% loss per year. Now, how does that fare with others? We'll take a look here at the base Mbappe. So this peaked at about $550 and is now close to $90, which all in all is an 84% loss. So 13% more than the gold, which is, pretty substantial. But year over year, it's the exact same 39% loss per year at this point. This peaked a few months before the gold did peak, which was down in there. So realistically, maybe if the gold sells during this time, maybe it even goes higher. That's sort of one of the things that you can't really tell with gold because it isn't as liquid. You're not going to get the absolute peak like you might with base or refractor. So base and refractor theoretically should have, probably, I guess, a more substantial high and low, and thus a bigger margin there. And then if we take a look at refractors, I'm just going to do this in general to see if it matches the trend or what trend it matches up more with. And this one's basically the same. So peaked at, 3,300 and is currently worth now a little over 500. All in all, another 83% loss from the all-time highs. And year over year, that is 38%, which is just a percent lower than the other two we looked at. So, what you can gain from that is essentially no one is really safe. Just because it was gold did not mean that it was going to hold up forever. As you could tell, this $35,000 sale for a 9, not a jersey number or anything. He's wearing 29 there. It's 26. So, going from 34,000 to now maybe 7, 10, 15. That is substantial, despite, being a gold card, right? So I want to take a couple more peeks, and it's hard to do, but we found a Ronaldo. So this Ronaldo all-time high was a PSA 9 that went for 11.2 thousand, and this was only a little over a year ago. So again, you know, if you're looking at this in terms of when was the peak and when did these peak, this is about a year after the card peak. So cards had gone down for about a year, and the Ronaldo gold is now at its all-time high, right? So we go from the peak of 11.2 thousand, and now the most recent sale was December 9th for 4,000. And realistically, I'm going to lower this to 3,500 in my estimation. Card Ladder actually has it at 3,000. I think it's probably closer to that. Realistically, with Messi winning the World Cup, that hurts Ronaldo's narrative long term, and takes a little bit of shine away from that. And most of the Ronaldo market has been correcting a little bit for that, so you'd expect to see it in the gold as well. So I'm going to say it's worth 3,500 because in the 4 months since, a lot of things have sort of altered place. So we have a substantial drop from 11.2 thousand to around about 3,500. All in all, that's a pretty nice 69% loss, and year over year, that's a 59% loss per year, which is obviously much higher than anything we've talked about yet in terms of the Mbappes. So looking at the Ronaldo base here, I took the high of being $120, which I think is fair. There was one sale at $155, but even $120, I mean, it only really hit like once other than that. So I think that's a pretty fair high. Comparatively, it's currently worth $26, which means all in all, it has dropped 79%. And that breaks down to 40% per year. Now keep in mind, that's not compounded, that's just, nominal. So, factor that in if you may. And for the refractor, we see much the same. So this peaked at 318, currently worth 80. So that is a 75% loss and a 37% loss per year. So again, the Topps Chrome Gold, it's down 70%, which I guess technically is better than the base, which is down 79, and better than the refractor, which is down 75. But again, this loss was taken once these had already had substantial losses, right? Like this Ronaldo was at its all-time peak and then dropped all the way until about right here. And this down here is where people are buying golds at all-time highs. So say you were someone that, maybe you were crazy enough, you bought, I guess, a ton of refractors, maybe a ton of base, then you sold off come next year because no one likes that, and then you bought into gold, and then you did the same thing again. I mean, you can tell how it's very cyclical, and you can sort of get caught up in it all if you're not really, minding your P's and Q's. And then finally, we'll end off with an Erling Haaland just to nail the point home and just get another relevant player in here. So this one, we have an all-time high of a PSA 10 Erling Haaland going for $65,000 in auction. This was actually April 15th, so this was closer to the actual boom of sports cards and sort of when that was at its all-time high. Comparatively speaking, now the last sale was this one right here, which is a 28.8 thousand sale that came 2 years later. So that was a 56% loss, 28% per year. Comparatively, the base did actually do much worse. So for this instance, this peaked at 3,400. It's currently worth 550, which is an 84% loss, a little under 40% per year since this was over 2 years ago at this point. Along with that, the refractor peaked at 13K and is now currently worth 4,000, so that's a 69% loss and a 32% per year. So in terms of the Haaland, the gold actually has held up much better, I would say. This is 56% down, while this is also 84% down, and then the refractors are 70%. So at least in this Erling Haaland example, it is true that the gold did do a little bit better on the same time frame as the base, as the refractor. Relatively speaking, the base did also do worse than the refractor, which held up a little bit better. But all in all, it's the difference of, are you down 60%, 70%, 80%? Obviously, that's going to add up at the end of the day, but realistically, you don't want to be picking between those options, so it is what it is. So to quickly go back through, the Mbappe has held up a little bit better technically, as the gold is only down 70% compared to the base and refractor that were down 80%. But if we're talking about how long it took that to go down, the gold actually comes out looking a little bit worse. For the Ronaldo, we also have the same situation where the total loss here is a little bit lower than the base and the refractor, but given the amount of time that the base and the refractor had to go down comparatively to this and how quick this went down, this actually comes out looking worse. And then the instance where it does come out on the better side for the gold is this Haaland, which, I don't know exactly what you want to chalk that up to. Maybe it's just sort of more prospecting going on with Haaland, and thus you sort of get people that are a bit more unwilling to sell on the high end because they still feel like they have time to see that prospect come to the surface. Could also be that it's just an amazing looking card. I mean, in terms of color match, in terms of ultra modern cards that, you know, someone could look at and understand what's going on, this is certainly one of them. And relatively speaking, Holland does have a ton of different options in terms of base and even silvers in terms of what you could go after. He's in a few different sets that are very prominent, and so really you can kind of pick and choose wherever you may want to go. So there might not be as much of a replacement for this Topps Chrome since this is one of like the Holland cards, but when it comes to a base or maybe even a refractor, you might want to go somewhere else, and maybe that's what has you know, precipitated that drop a little bit faster. All of it, of course, just fun speculation in terms of what's going on here, and I was really interested in checking this out because honestly, coming into this, I did not know what the outcome was going to be. I did have a feeling that I've seen golds drop. I remember seeing golds do crazy numbers for basically anything gold, and now I'm seeing good gold cards not do crazy numbers like they did in the past, which then sort of got me thinking and got this video coming out to you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. I'd appreciate it greatly. Would love to hear your thoughts on the video as well down below in a comment. And if you want to see more videos like this as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day and peace.